Hook, she was her best friend, her sister in stilettos, until she got pregnant by her husband. This isn't just betrayal, it's war. And when Jackie Christie walked into that courtroom, she didn't come to cry. She came to burn it all down. You think you've seen drama? Baby, this is just the beginning. In a courtroom thick with tension, where even the air seemed too heavy to breathe, the world watched as Jackie Christie's carefully constructed life began to unravel, not gradually, not gently, but all at once, under the blinding lights of a public betrayal. This wasn't the usual court drama played out for ratings and clickbait. No, this was a visceral implosion, witnessed live by millions. As Jackie's voice shaking with the weight of 25 years of loyalty echoed through marble walls and camera lenses, there were no whispers this time, only a collective gasp so fierce it stole the breath from every corner of the room, freezing security guards mid-step and leaving reporters scrambling for sound bites. Jackie, a woman long celebrated as the ironclad queen of loyalty and resilience, stood center stage not in power, but in pieces. Yet, even in her heartbreak, she radiated fire. What detonated in that courtroom wasn't gossip, it was war. The name on everyone's lips. Malaysia, her best friend, her confidant, her soul sister, the one who held her hand through personal storms, shared hotel rooms on tour, sat at family dinners, and called Jackie's daughter niece. The betrayal couldn't have cut deeper unless it came from Jackie's own blood. Malaysia wasn't just some stranger who slipped into Doug Christie's bedsheet, was the woman Jackie had once defended with the same fervor she defended her marriage. And now, she was visibly pregnant with Doug's child. The courtroom didn't need speculation or rumor. The DNA results did all the talking. Indisputable, unrelenting, cold. 99.97% certainty. Doug Christie, Jackie's husband of nearly 3 decades, had fathered a child with the one person Jackie never thought she'd have to protect her heart from, and Malaysia. She sat quietly in designer maternity wear, dark sunglasses masking her expression, eyes never rising to meet the woman whose life she helped decimate. Jackie's voice cracked. Not with weakness, but with decades of buried sacrifice, erupting in real time. You weren't just in my house, she spat, glaring at both Doug's empty chair and Malaysia's bowed head. You were in my life. You were my life. Her pain was so real, so raw, even the court stenographer reportedly paused. There are betrayals, and then there are earthquakes. This was seismic. The love story Jackie had fiercely defended on national television. The marriage she had polished, protected, and projected for millions to admire shattered in the span of a courtroom hearing. With 25 years of marriage burning in front of her, like an altar turned to ash, Jackie didn't crumble. She ignited. Doug offered no rebuttal. He wasn't there. No apology, no statement, not even a whisper of remorse. He had gone dark. Socials scrubbed, appearances cancelled, his name now trending for all the wrong reasons. Social media, however, was ablaze. #JusticeForJackie trended within the hour, joined by hashtags like Malaysia Thamani Palather and #10,000,000tears. Jackie wasn't just filing for justice, she was filing for her legacy. A $10 million lawsuit hit the table, citing emotional destruction, public humiliation, and the calculated unraveling of a brand she'd spent her entire adulthood building from the ground up. But this wasn't just about money, it was about principle, about respect, about reclaiming the dignity that had been stripped from her in front of the world. Behind the courtroom scenes, the story deepened. Sources close to the couple revealed the affair wasn't an impulsive, single-night mistake. It was months in the making. Secret meets in dimly lit LA restaurants. Business trips that had nothing to do with business. Late-night texts recovered from cloud backups, where Doug told Malaysia she made him feel alive again. Alive. Jackie had been his pulse for 25 years. She stood beside him through every scandal, built his brand when no one else cared, cleaned up the messes he made when the cameras weren't rolling, and now he was feeding his soul to another woman under her nose. The betrayal wasn't just intimate, it was strategic. Jackie's daughter Chantal screamed backstage after the hearing, enraged and inconsolable. You let her in our house. You let her at our table. She reportedly lunged at Doug's assistant before being pulled away. Jackie's publicist shut down all appearances indefinitely, citing emotional trauma. Meanwhile, Malaysia posted nothing, no apology, no radio silence behind her PR wall. But even silence speaks volumes when the entire world is watching. This wasn't some fleeting scandal. This was the collapse of a cultural fixture. Jackie and Doug weren't just a couple. They were black love personified to millions. They were the aspirational brand, the reality TV royalty, the standard. To watch that disintegrate under the weight of betrayal felt like mourning the death of something bigger than just a relationship. It felt like watching a pillar fall. And Jackie wasn't going to let that happen quietly. She wasn't going to let anyone narrate her downfall but herself. More revelations followed. The lawsuit wasn't just about emotional damage anymore. Jackie's legal team uncovered financial losses, sponsorships pulled, reality contracts reevaluated, and media networks reconsidering her marketability due to the so-called drama. Brands that once courted Jackie for her elegance and grit were backing out, afraid of the mess now surrounding her name. And all the while, Malaysia's silence became more provocative until she went live. The moment Malaysia opened her Instagram live, the world stopped. Dressed down, makeup minimal, hand resting softly on her belly, she addressed her followers directly. "Y'all think I asked for this?" she began. "Like I woke up and said, let me destroy Jackie's life. No, Doug and I didn't plan to fall in love, but we did, and I'm not sorry anymore." The internet split in half. Half called her shameless, a traitor, a snake with no remorse. The other half praised her for owning her truth, deflecting blame onto Doug as the married man who made a choice. But when surveillance footage leaked grainy but clear of Doug caressing Malaysia's back outside a Beverly Hills clinic, whispering in her ear, kissing her forehead, the timeline imploded. The footage was time-stamped months before Jackie found out. It was over. Malaysia's defense crushed. Jackie's lawyers filed an immediate motion for punitive damages, arguing that Malaysia and Doug's deception wasn't just immoral, it was orchestrated for attention, for financial gain, for narrative positioning. Then came the bombshell email. A producer at Basketball Wives discussing a 5-episode arc if Malaysia was pregnant by Doug. "Start prepping storyboards now," the email read. Suddenly, this wasn't just infidelity. It was brand manipulation, exploitation, a betrayal built for Then came the love letters. Not texts. Letters. Pulled from Doug's iCloud, recovered and authenticated. They were full-page digital monologues of adoration. In them, he called Malaysia his piece, his muse, the woman he should have married first. When these were read aloud in court, Jackie broke, not in anger, but in agony. She collapsed into her lawyer's arms, sobbing so hard the judge had to call a recess. Chantal ran to her mother's side, shielding her from cameras, screaming at the press to back off. But this was far from over. It was a legacy in ruins, a marriage gone up in smoke, and a public spectacle too massive to contain. And Jackie, she wasn't backing down. Not now, not after giving everything. This wasn't just a scandal. This was scorched earth, and Jackie Christie had just lit the match. This wasn't just a scandal, it was a public reckoning. Jackie Christie wasn't chasing sympathy. She was demanding justice, respect, and every dollar her name was worth after the betrayal of a lifetime. As her legal team revealed damning voice notes proving Doug and Malaysia's affair was premeditated, and sought damages for emotional abuse and reputational harm. Jackie's fanbase rose in fierce solidarity, flooding Malaysia's comment section with venom. But Jackie wasn't just defending herself, she was going on the offensive. Meeting with TV executives to produce a tell-all titled Betrayed, determined to control her narrative. Meanwhile, Malaysia stayed hidden behind PR statements, her baby bump growing beneath designer dresses, while Doug silently vanished from the spotlight. Tensions boiled when, in court, Malaysia leaned in and whispered something to Doug, triggering Jackie's lawyers to file for a restraining order on the spot. Doug's attorney responded by claiming his client had every right to support the mother of his unborn child. A phrase that slapped Jackie like a verdict and sent the media into overdrive. Headlines screamed betrayal, fans raged, and trolls circled, cruelly mocking Jackie's pain. But she came back swinging, eyes swollen, voice shaking, taking to Instagram Live to declare this was bigger than just Doug and Malaysia. It was for every woman who ever built a life around loyalty and was left broken. And then came the voicemail. Doug, whispering in guilt, admitting he panicked and wanted to hide the pregnancy. It was the smoking gun Jackie needed to escalate her case, now including defamation, malicious emotional damage, and career sabotage, as brands began pulling out, and the media painted her as unstable. Malaysia, meanwhile, flaunted her maternity shoot with Doug at her side, captioned with a smug, "Sometimes, what's meant to be, finds its way," gaining millions of views and adding salt to Jackie's very public wounds. But Jackie wasn't backing down. She vowed not to settle and announced the trial would go public. with depositions, receipts, and witnesses ready to testify. Then came a shocking betrayal. Jackie's own daughter, Chantal, tweeted, "Sometimes the truth ain't what you want to hear. But even mom's got secrets," sending the internet into chaos and Jackie into a 2-day silence. When she returned, it was with a single black post that read, "Loyalty. That's all I ever wanted," followed by the date of the next court hearing. The battle had become about more than infidelity. It was about legacy, power, and public image, with Jackie now refusing to be silenced by anyone. The courtroom turned into a media circus as her legal team rolled in like a storm, subpoenaing Doug to testify under oath and confess to the lies that destroyed not just a marriage but a brand. And just when it felt like things couldn't get more surreal, Doug didn't show up. His lawyer claimed mental unfitness, but whispers said he'd fled, possibly to Dubai or the Bahamas, with rumors of a flagged passport only fueling the fire. Jackie, red-eyed but composed, walked out of the courtroom not as a victim, but as a woman ready to burn every lie down to the ground. Jackie Christie stood before the cameras, not with trembling lips or broken posture, but with a kind of quiet rage that made the room vibrate. Her voice was steady, controlled, even, but beneath every syllable was the unmistakable sound of a woman holding back an emotional hurricane. After 25 years, she began, eyes locked with the camera lens, like it was her betrayer, of loyalty, of sacrifice, of standing by a man through things y'all don't even know about. "I am done. Done being the one left with the silence, the pain, the lies. You want to know who Doug Christie really is? Watch closely." The press didn't dare interrupt. Her statement wasn't just a quote, it was a warning shot, a declaration of war, and almost as if the universe cued it, Malaysia finally broke her own silence. Not in court, not in a statement released by a carefully curated PR team, but live on Instagram. No filters, no ring light perfection. Just Malaysia, sitting on a gray couch with rumpled pillows behind her, her face mostly bare, the faintest sheen of gloss on her lips. One hand cradled her prominent belly bump, the other gripping her phone. "I didn't wake up one morning and say, 'Let me go wreck my sister's life,'" she said, her voice low but firm. "Doug and we didn't plan this. We fell in love, and I'm not sorry anymore." She stared directly into the screen like she was speaking to someone she once loved, maybe even herself. The internet didn't just react, it combusted. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, even LinkedIn threads exploded. Half of social media crucified her, instantly calling her a homewrecker, a snake, a traitor who deserved every ounce of backlash. The other half, oddly, rallied behind her vulnerability. "At least she's owning it," they said. "She's not the one who was married. Doug is the villain." But that fragile sympathy collapsed when TMZ dropped the bomb. A grainy, time-stamped surveillance video showing Doug in Malaysia outside a Beverly Hills prenatal clinic months before Jackie ever suspected anything. Doug, dressed in a hoodie and shades, was seen rubbing her back, whispering something into her ear, and then undeniably kissing her forehead before escorting her inside. It was intimate, familiar, loving, and it confirmed what many feared. This wasn't new. This wasn't a mistake. This was a relationship one nurtured in the shadows while Jackie hosted family barbecues and filmed her loyalty for the world to see. Jackie's legal team acted swiftly and savagely. Already knee-deep in a $10 million lawsuit, they filed to amend damages, now seeking additional compensation for what they called strategic emotional exploitation and premeditated public defamation. Their claim that Malaysia used the affair and pregnancy not just as a personal betrayal but as a power move, a calculated attempt to re-enter the VH1 reality television fold with a built-in storyline and guaranteed drama. The receipts: a leaked internal email from a Basketball Wives producer reading, "If Malaysia is pregnant by Doug Christie, we have a minimum 5-episode arc. Start prepping storyboards now." Fans screamed. The court gasped. Even rival producers weighed in, saying Malaysia's return had been discussed heavily, behind closed doors once the scandal broke. But none of it, not the footage, not the IG Live, not even the lawsuits hit as hard as what came next. In court, Jackie's team presented retrieved iCloud backups, deleted messages Doug had sent to Malaysia during their affair. But these weren't casual flirty texts. They were love letters. Full paragraphs dripping with vulnerability, desperation, and affection. In one, he called her the calm after every storm, his peace in a world where everything feels fake. In another, he wrote, "I should have married you first. We missed our timing. But maybe this baby is our restart. When those messages were read aloud, the courtroom didn't just shift, it sank. Jackie, sitting upright and composed moments before, buckled under the weight of the words. She sobbed into her attorney's arms, her entire body shaking as her daughter rushed to comfort her. The judge called for a 20-minute recess. Media outlets described it as the emotional climax of the year. Outside, headlines erupted. Doug the Deceiver. Jackie's breakdown goes viral. Malaysia, villain or victim. Celebrities joined the frenzy. Tamar Braxton tweeted, "You don't do your sister like that." "I don't care what the man told you," K. Michelle replied. "Sometimes the truth ain't pretty, but it's still the truth." The Malaysia. Families were torn. Fans were picking sides, and the public couldn't look away. It was no longer just a scandal, it was a cultural earthquake. But Jackie, even through the chaos, didn't fold. She did something far bolder. With full camera crews and streaming deals secured, Jackie filed for divorce on camera. Not a grainy leak. Not paparazzi footage. A full, exclusive segment with production value and poise. She sat at a marble desk, documents in front of her, reading her name aloud as she signed. "This is not just about heartbreak," she said, looking into the lens. "This is about reclamation. About taking back my power after giving it away to a man who didn't deserve it." With every signature, she marked the end of a marriage, and the beginning of a reckoning. The final shot. Jackie slipping on a pair of oversized sunglasses, wiping away a tear with the back of her hand, and whispering, "Let the next chapter begin." But the plot didn't end there. Days later, photos surfaced of Malaysia alone at a prenatal appointment in Santa Monica. Wearing oversized sweats, her face drawn and eyes hollow. No Doug, no entourage, just her and the truth. When a paparazzo asked if Doug was still in her life, she didn't flinch. "I haven't heard from him in a week," she admitted. Maybe Jackie was right all along. And with that, the final sliver of dignity Malaysia had tried to hold on to slipped. She wasn't the woman who stole someone's husband. She was now the one left behind. Doug. Still nowhere to be found. His legal team issued a boilerplate statement about respecting the process, but insiders say he's been in hiding, ducking press, canceling public events, and avoiding even his closest friends. Some allege he's been trying to settle privately. Others say he's unraveling. What's certain is this: the empire Doug spent decades building, from basketball legacy to reality TV, personality to branded deals, is smoldering. And what began as a salacious love triangle has morphed into an emotional war zone. Careers are on the line. Families are irreparably split. Fans are more engaged than ever, dissecting timelines, tracking IP addresses, analyzing every emoji, and the trial. Far from over. The next hearing is scheduled for next week, where the judge will rule on whether Jackie's case proceeds to a jury. If it does, Doug may be forced to testify under oath. Malaysia could be subpoenaed, and Jackie armed with voice notes, email chains, confidential production memos, and a mountain of receipts is preparing to lay waste to whatever lies remain. As whispers circulate that Malaysia may actually be carrying twins, the scandal continues to grow with no end in sight. Doug, once the centerpiece of strength and loyalty, now hides like a man watching the walls of his life collapse. Jackie, she's rising from the ashes, louder and fiercer than ever. And Malaysia, she's left walking through the ruins of a story she can no longer control. This isn't reality TV anymore. This is betrayal, weaponized, broadcasted, monetized, dissected in real time. And baby, if you thought that was the end, buckle up, because the next chapter, it promises to burn hotter than anything we've seen yet. We're not just spilling tea, we're rewriting the entire damn narrative, one explosive truth at a time. This isn't gossip, it's warfare. Legacies are crumbling, secrets are detonating, and every revelation leaves a bigger crater than the last. This is scorched earth storytelling, and baby, we didn't just sip the drama, we struck the match, dropped it, and watched the whole house burn. And trust, the fire's only just begun. Because what we're witnessing isn't just scandal for the cameras, it's the public unraveling of lives that once looked flawless on TV. We're peeling back the designer curtains and finding betrayal in high heels, heartbreak in HD. Every confession, every leaked message, every grainy video clip isn't just content, it's evidence. Proof that behind the filters and the friendships were lies laced with envy, lust, and ambition. And now, every one of those truths is coming home to roost, dragging names, reputations, and careers straight into the fire. This is reality TV in its final form, raw, ugly, unfiltered chaos. The kind that doesn't end with a reunion special and a few forced apologies. No, this ends with depositions, subpoenas, courtroom tears, and million-dollar lawsuits. We're talking about love turned into leverage, babies used as bargaining chips, producers pulling strings while the world watches real lives implode, and while some are scrambling to spin the narrative, to make themselves the misunderstood heroine or the fallen angel, we see the truth, we see the manipulation, the betrayal, the desperation behind the confessions. So, buckle up, because the story isn't just heating up, it's turning volcanic. And when the dust finally settles, only one thing's certain. Nothing and no one will ever be the same again.